Hey guys, welcome back to another F1 23 video, the My Team Career Mode Journey for Cross GT Racing. Coming off a really good race weekend, the Las Vegas Grand Prix, where we managed to come home with a relatively lucky second place. Spent quite a lot of the race fighting for the podium, both Mercedes drivers dominating the race. George Russell starting in P1, Hamilton sitting in P2 for most of it. But right at the end of the race, couple of laps to go, I think it was 2 or 3 laps, lap 17 I think it was, or lap 16, no, 15, it's one of them. A few laps left in the race, and Lewis Hamilton had a bit of a strange incident. Part of his car must have been failing. He lost a lot of speed and a lot of power and ended up coasting into the pits for a late pit stop, late tyre change onto a second set of mediums. He came back out onto the track and finished the race. Not sure what happened, but that gave us P2 in the Las Vegas Grand Prix. The first time we've raced this track before, so really good result for us, giving us a nice, I think, 47-point buffer in the constructors over Aston Martin. So barring catastrophe, we should be on for a P5 in the constructors here today as we get ready for the final round of season 1 here on F1 23, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where it's all to play for. George Russell taking the win here in Las Vegas. Max Verstappen, though, with a late race last lap dive on Norris and Alonso, who were P3 and P4. Alonso P3, Norris P4, but Verstappen just before the last corner managed to make a move on both of them, claiming P3, so he now sits in second place in the Drivers' Championship, 21 points behind George Russell, so he can still technically win another Drivers' Championship. But we'll have to wait and see what happens in the final race of the season as we head into the facility for the last time before our final race. Quick turnaround, only a few days before we head off to the season finale in the United Arab Emirates. Not much to do here, just gonna do the one action. Looking to do some more development on the car. We can get another little, I say little, a major rear downforce upgrade on before the end of the season. We are going to rush it, and hopefully we'll get enough development points so that after the final race we'll be able to save it, because it is no doubt going to be affected by the regulation changes for next season as we do some last minute adjustments to the components for our power unit. And now it's all ready to go as we get ready for race day, or for free practice, I should say. Practice, as always, going really well, getting plenty of points and plenty of discounts which we can use next season. Quite a few powertrain discounts, which should be good. So hopefully we can fast track a whole bunch of those upgrades and not have to spend too many resource points on them, limiting any losses we might have through rushing them. I'm trying to rush every upgrade I can, just so that we can get as much performance out of the car as quick as we can. I could focus on just doing them in the normal time, guaranteeing that they go on the car. Well, not guaranteeing, but having a pretty good chance of them going on. But no risk, no reward. We're just going to rush everything that we can, like we have been since we upgraded the facilities that can rush upgrades, just so that we can get really big reward out of it. And the amount of extra resource points we have to spend to, I guess, claim those upgrades after they haven't gone through, we still get them on the same amount of time. It just costs us resource points. So if we don't rush them, it's the same time frame as if we rush them and then they fail, and then we just have to spend the extra to get them on the car. So I'm not too fussed about that. It does hurt us a little bit in the resource point balance, but we've been pretty lucky and we've got a pretty good car, and our results show it as well as we cross the line in Q1 and P2, but we're 1.2 seconds off the time to Hamilton, who has been pretty solid this season. He's sitting P3. He's been pretty good at getting pole or getting close to pole this season. So it's so being that far off him isn't good for us. In terms of this being our first season, it is good. We should really be knocking, being up in P12 in Q1, to be honest. Like if it was a real F1 scenario. But based on our performance this season, we need to do better. And we do better. P5 there. We end up dropping to P9. 6/10 off George Russell, which isn't too bad. It's only Q1. So plenty of room to improve. But the two Mercedes up the top. Carlos Sainz only 400ths behind Hamilton and the Ferrari. So definitely showing the pace that the Ferrari has at the end of the season. It would have been nice if they could have shown more of that at the start of the season. But Mercedes have been dominant. They have already claimed the Constructors' Championship. I think they claimed that like 3 races ago. Like they're pretty far ahead. But the drivers are still to play for, and there's still positions to play for in the Constructors for all the other teams who are looking to claim more prize money at the end of this race weekend. Lewis Hamilton with the fastest lap of Q2 so far. Still early on in this qualifying session. We are on for, I think we're on for a pretty good lap here. Like I'm feeling pretty good about this one. Should be good enough to get us into Q3 hopefully. I say as we now go wide, we lost a bit of time there chasing Magnus and George Russell there, taking the fastest lap so far. He's been outperforming his teammate quite a bit. He's been pretty consistent, hence why he is leading the Drivers' Championship right now, and we end up getting P3, but it's still 7/10 off Russell's time. It's good enough for P4 by the end. Lando Norris jumping Lewis Hamilton to claim P2 in qualifying too. So we're through to the final stage of qualifying, but it is 5/10 between P1 and P2, and then it is 7/10 between P2 and P10. So it just goes to show just how big the gulf is between George Russell and the rest of the pack. Max Verstappen back in P8. That's an interesting one there, although it was the same in the last race as well. He did end up in P8 at the end of Q2, and it didn't work out well for him in Q3 either. I think he got P7 in Q3. Started the race in P7, so he must have. I don't know any penalties that rate, or there may have been. He was either P7 or P8 at the end of Q3 in the last Grand Prix. But we are into Q3, our first lap out, and I think we're probably, everyone else is just in their first lap. We went out early. We haven't been waiting like we did at the start of the season to see where the cars were and then go out when open. Yeah, we've just been jumping straight out, just in case we need that extra time to get another lap in. George Russell had the fastest lap initially, and then Lewis Hamilton's taken it away from him. We went wide heading underneath that little tunnel section there. As we round the final corner to come up to the line, it's good enough for P2 in qualifying, which we really need because with the components that we had to change before this race, we're actually going to be taking a penalty, 10 place grid penalty, so we want to qualify as high as possible, which we have. We managed to qualify P2. Unfortunately, that is going to be P12 in the race, unless other drivers have engine penalties as well, but it's still good for us, still gives us a fighting chance to get into the points before the end of the race. As we jump into the facilities now, so we've got plenty of points, and we're actually going to put on a major fuel efficiency upgrade before the end, or before the start of next season. Hopefully that goes on, and we don't have to worry about regulation changes, so even if it does go on, we don't have to worry about having to try and save it before the start of the new season. So hopefully that goes on as we get ready for race day, the final race day of the season.
So here we are, ready to go racing for one final time this year. Another season of victories, controversies and rivalries lies in our wake. And just one challenge remains, here in the United Arab Emirates, on a circuit that made its spectacular debut back in 2009. Welcome to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The drivers will be racing here at the Yas Marina circuit through 16 corners and a lap distance of around 3.28 miles. There are a few opportunities to pass with long straights and DRS zones in 2 places, so plenty of close racing, then plenty of speed and plenty of drama to be found in the laps ahead. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Perez, Albon, the captain, Ocon, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Stroll, Sargent, De Vries, Joe, Boschung, and Yuki Tsunoda. And now it's time to head down to the track. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event.
And they can do it for sure, as long as they don't dwell too much on the position. At the end of the day, there's only one way to go racing, and that's to give it everything you've got. Either your best is good enough to stay in the hunt, or it's not. There's no point giving any less than 100%.
Okay, mate, final day of the season. Everybody in this entire team has worked incredibly hard to give us the chance to get a good result today. I need you to do your bit and go out there and bring it home for us.
Can do, mate. We are sitting P5 in the Constructors' Championship, and I've just been adding up the points in my head while that was playing, and it turns out that we actually can't lose P5 if we're 47 points ahead of the Aston Martin team. Even if Stroll and Alonso finish 1 and 2 with the fastest lap, they can only claim 44 points out of this race. So P5 is pretty much secured, so that takes a lot of pressure off me for this race. I still want to do really well though. So I still want to be up in the standings. I think we're sitting P5 in the drivers or P6 in the drivers, one of them. We are sitting in a pretty good position in the drivers. I really want to keep that just so that we can have a really good finish at the end of the season. We managed to clip Magnussen there going along the inside there, and the start of our race is pretty cooked now as everyone passes us. Well, not everyone, most people. De Vries and Boschung are still behind us. Even with me spinning, they still can't make an overtake, which seems to be the story of De Vries's season as we take a look at the replay. So we went to the inside. I'm not really sure who's at fault. Let's take a look from this angle. It's probably going to look better. So we just overcorrected because we almost went off the track and straight into the back wheel of Magnussen, or sort of in line with it as he was going past us and his back wheel clipped our front. So that's really on us. But thankfully, we managed to save it and get back onto the track. So we're still in this race. It could have been disastrous. Could have ended up in the wall, and that could have been final race over. Could have been our first DNF of the season, I do believe. I think we've had a DNF so far this season. I think we're pretty lucky with engine components not failing on us, as we make a nice little move there on Tsunoda to jump up into P19. Not often, I have to say, that we make an overtake to claim a position like P19, but sometimes things happen out of your control or within your control, and you just sort of don't make the right decision. So it's going to be a bit of a fight for us to get back up the front. We are on the hards, so there is going to be a point where our tyres become the more favoured tyre in terms of performance compared to the others, and that is where we hopefully be able to gain a lot more time on everyone in front of us. Hopefully we can make some quick work of these back markers though. Even on the hards, we still should have a reasonably good chance of making some overtakes. Oh, I hit the curb a little too much there and sent the car into the air. We lost a lot, pretty much all of our downforce because we were going up in the air, and that is going to cost us plenty of time to Hulkenberg, who we're actually slowly gaining on there. So that is frustrating for us. Stroll P17, so the Aston Martin not performing very well today, or at least one of the drivers not performing very well today. Let's take a look at the mini-map there. Looks like Alonso was up in the top 10, so his teammate not really helping him out here. Stronger performances from Stroll this season definitely could have given them the upper hand in our championship battle, and it would have been much closer in the points. Maybe even they would be in front, but not the case this season. Couple of laps down, and we're starting to settle into a groove. Tyres starting to warm up a bit. I'm not making as many errors or as bigger errors as I was at the start. We've managed to catch up to Hulkenberg now. It looks like Charles Leclerc's claimed the fastest lap. He's now leading this Grand Prix by the looks of things, but he does have the two Mercedes tight on the back of his car, or at least one of them is, and the other one is just behind him. So the top three are pulling away quite a lot, but we've got a nice little battle here with Hulkenberg, who's staying right behind him in this quite large train. Actually, looks like most of the field is all in one long slipstream / DRS train, as we're going to have as we head around the long left-hander. Battery going, we've got DRS enabled, and we're going to try and make quick work of Hulkenberg, but he's putting up a fight. He is still right alongside us. He's probably deploying his battery, and we make a dive on him and Stroll, heading into the chicane here. Managed to gain 2 places there. Nice move, overtaking one of the Aston Martins and one of the Haas cars. So lap 4, P17 now, and we've got some back markers there. We've got an Alfa Romeo and a Williams in front of us, Zhou and Sargent, both on softs. If we can just stick with them, hopefully we can make some moves. We did have a little look there on Zhou, but just didn't have the time or the space to be able to make a move there, just too far back. But we are all over the back of him. Performance of this car definitely mitigating the difference in performance of the tyre here. We did clip the back of Zhou's car a little bit there. Hopefully no damage to the front wing. Nothing came up on the screen, so if there is any damage, it's only going to be very minor. Hopefully won't affect the car too much, but definitely hitting those curbs a little bit there, and losing control of the car a little bit of a slide, as we're now looking at what's happening up the front of the pack. Looks like one of the Mercedes overtaking Leclerc. I think that was Hamilton, who is now in the lead for this Grand Prix. But a nice battle going on as Leclerc looks to make a move now. He's got DRS for the second part, or for the second DRS straight. He's the one with the DRS, and he looks to go around the outside of Hamilton, and a nice move there to get back in front. P1 back in the hands of the Ferrari driver, but Hamilton is still right there with him. So nice battle going on up the front of the pack. And right in front of us, we've got Zhou looking to make a move on Sargent, but we end up going right down the inside of Zhou. Very, very messy move on Sargent there. He didn't take the apex as well as he could have. He was going very defensive against Zhou, but we managed to squeeze past there. Bit of contact, hopefully no damage again. Definitely not our best move, but still managed to pull it off. I don't know if we got a warning there. I didn't see anything come up on the screen, so maybe we got away with it, but there was definitely contact there. As we go back and take a look, a lot has been happening, so we go back and take a look. There's the move on Hulkenberg and Stroll heading into the chicane. Nice move there, getting us a couple of places. And here was the move we just saw. So Zhou looking to go along the racing line. Sargent, he takes a little long to get to make the turn. I think he was trying to hit a late apex there, being off the racing line, and we kind of muscle our way past him to claim yet another 2 positions in the same corner of the track. And now we are sitting in the slipstream of Albon, who is in a little bit of a train himself, pulling us along. There's a few cars in this one. Bottas in front of him, and I can't quite tell who's ahead of them, but hopefully we can just tag along with these guys, who I think Albon's on the hards, Bottas is on the soft, so his tyres will be starting to wear out a bit as we come right up behind Albon, who brakes very hard, and it looks like he was braking a little bit early. He's lost some fun to Bottas, and that's kind of messed up our exit into the DRS straight. We do have the pace on Albon. We look to go down the inside, braking very late. We managed to make the move there, much tidier move on the Williams this time. But we've got a really good run here on Bottas, who had a horrible run out of the chicane. He's on the soft, so he definitely has the pace advantage over us, and it looks like he's deployed that battery. We're going to duck back to the inside and go around the inside of Bottas. A nice move there. Bit of contact there, the back of Ocon. And we've got Perez up ahead of him. Perez not in the points, so definitely not bringing out the performance of that car that his teammate Max Verstappen has been this season. Looks like shades of the real world, where Perez hasn't been performing very well this season. But we are really pushing against Ocon here. And a nice little lunge there out of the final corner alongside him, around the outside at turn 1, and we make the move stick there. There's another position gain, so we're moving our way up through the positions here, as we had a bit of a scary moment there, going up over the hill, losing a little bit of control of the car, back end kicking out a bit, but we've managed to keep it together. But we have lost time and DRS thanks to that. We are still a few tenths ahead of Ocon, who is gaining on us very quickly. He's looking to go down the inside, but we brake very late, and he makes a little last second lunge, and we try to do the over under and try and get back around and go around the outside of him, the second part of that chicane. But we end up just clipping the back of his wheel. We're not clipping it, we went straight into the back of it, but again, no damage. But we go the inside this time. Bit of contact there again, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't my fault that time. He did give me the space, but it just looked like while we were alongside, he just went to turn really sharply and wheel-to-wheel contact there. Not ideal for us. We're trying to make these tyres last as long as possible. We want the tyre wear to be pretty minimal. We want these to last quite a bit. Perez, a bit hard on the brakes there. And we ended up taking a bit of a knock there on his back wheel, and he just squeezes against the wall there, so we can't go around the outside. So he's playing very defensive here. But those soft tyres have to be wearing down pretty quick now, so we should have a pretty good advantage in terms of tyre wear. Try to go down the inside of the left-hander. Nice move there. We managed to claim another position with just one space outside the points, but it is a 4.5 second gap now to get us into the top 10. Perez right behind us in the slipstream, but we do have the DRS. We claimed the DRS before we made the overtake, and using our battery as well. But Perez is going to have the DRS this time around, but he's falling back quite a bit. Obviously not a very good line heading through the chicane, so we managed to keep him at bay, and that is P11 maintained for us there. So very good race from us. Started in P12, had that spin. As we take a look at what's happened over the last, I guess, 2 or 3 laps, here's the move on Albon, and a really good run out of the chicane on Bottas, as we're looking from Albon's perspective here, or we were, and then Bottas using that power, or using that battery to get back in front, but we duck back to the other side and take it around the inside of the corner to claim, well, I think it was P13 there. So pretty good run there. And then here's the move on Ocon as well. Good exit out of the final corner. We're side by side heading down to turn 1, and we just put the power on that little bit earlier to get that really good exit and claim P12 there. So good couple of overtakes there, making our march towards the points once again. Not really able to claim anything else in terms of the constructors. We're too far behind P4, which I think is McLaren, but we're doing it for the driver's standings. We want to make sure that we can maintain, or at least we'll see if we can maybe gain a position in the standings. As we're heading into the pits now, so it looks like a lot of the other drivers that were on the slower, or the faster compounds I should say, the lower tire, a lot of durability compounds. They're all coming in, and we're heading in as well. We're going to go to mediums, and this should be a pretty ideal range for us to get to the end. I think if we stayed out any longer on the hards, we probably would have ended up losing time to the guys in front of us. So moving on to a faster compound now, in the hopes that maybe we'll be able to make up some ground with the other drivers that either gone from softs to mediums themselves, or maybe even going into hards for the rest of the race. So wait and see what happens with this. Looks like everyone's sort of having the same idea though, so it's going to be a pretty even pace race for most of the field, I think, to the end. George Russell claiming the fastest lap for now, 1:26.7. That's a full second faster than our best, but we were running on hards. I don't know what tyres he was running on for the first stint, or if he's still on his first set of tyres. I'm not sure what they are, but he's definitely got a lot of pace on us. We've really messed up the apex into that corner. We've gone really wide before we get to the final corner, but didn't gain any time out of it, so no warning for us there, no track limit warning, which was great for us because we really don't want to have to deal with any time penalties in this race. Still a long way to go though. 8 laps left in this race. We're over halfway, but we are 3 seconds back from Magnussen, so definitely time for us to put the hammer down and try and gain some time on him, which we do. A couple laps later we have gained about 1.3 on him, so at this rate we might be able to get into the points before the end of the race. We can see him now. We couldn't really see him before, so we're just going to keep on pushing. We have opened the gap of about an extra second on Ocon, so we were 3 seconds ahead. We're now 4 seconds ahead of him. As we take a look at what's happening up the front, the two Mercedes drivers are just flying. Lewis Hamilton is in the lead, George Russell behind him, and then it is, I think it's a massive gulf between them and the rest of the pack. Mercedes showing why they're so dominant and why they have been so dominant this season. The two Mercedes drivers coming down the straight, and you can only just see the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc coming around that final corner there. So there's a massive gap between the Mercedes cars and everyone else. Lap 16, we're right in behind Magnussen now, so we're within DRS range. We finally managed to get DRS, and hopefully we can use this to overtake him between now and the end of the race. Gasly ahead of him 7 seconds, so P10 is probably the best we're going to hope for at this point, unless we have a late safety car, and that could throw a spanner into the works for the top drivers and could get us back up into potentially getting some more points, but probably not going to happen. Gasly is actually pulling away at this point, 7.8 seconds of the gap now. I think it was 7.6 before, but we're all only concerned with Magnussen. A bit indecision there as we managed to duck out. We get the DRS, we've got the battery enabled, but we have rinsed the battery completely. Magnussen is still there, but he backs out. I think taking the smart option there and trying to knock her on the outside of the first part of that chicane. He still has about 3.5 laps to make an overtake on us, so he's got plenty of time, and he is right there behind us. And it really is just a battle for P10 and 11 right now. It is 7.5 seconds to Gasly as Magnussen looks up the inside of the long sweeping left-hander. We do give him a little bit of space, squeeze him just a little bit to try and get him to back off, and he does so. But he's still right behind us. I don't know if there was a little bit of contact there. We were trying to defend against him. Potentially some contact there. He's losing a lot of time to us now. I thought initially he lost time because we just sort of made him back off. But now he's losing more and more time. Don't know what's happening. He's into the pits now, so potentially some front wing damage to his car from that little exchange. Not the way that I wanted our battle to end, but such is racing, so that is going to help us out a lot. We have a massive gap between ourselves and Ocon, and also ourselves and Gasly in front of us. But we're going to take a look at what's happening at the front of the pack. Lap 19, and the two Mercedes are battling it out now. Looks like the team are allowing them to race. George Russell going around the outside at the start of chicane. It turns to the inside, and he manages to claim P1 from Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton has DRS now though, when he's looking to fight back, but he just can't quite get the speed to get back in front of Russell. So Russell has now claimed P1 for now. We are now in the final lap of this race. And back at the start of that replay there of the two Mercedes drivers, the Ferrari driver has dropped so far back. Leclerc is now way behind them. So it's now really just a battle of the Mercedes to see who's going to win this race. We are sitting pretty at the moment. A lot of space between us as we watch the Mercedes drivers come around the final couple of corners. George Russell has managed to hold off Lewis Hamilton in the final race of the season. And George Russell is going to take the win here in Abu Dhabi. It's a 1-2 for Mercedes, which I think we've seen quite a few times this season. But that is going to guarantee a Drivers' Championship, the first Drivers' Championship for George Russell as we come around the final corner to take the checkered flag, and that is our season done and dusted.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Oh, no, like end of season message from our buddy there, but I suppose it's okay. P10 in the final race of the season for us.
Well, it's certainly been an incredible year for Formula One, and our drivers have all pushed themselves this season, making it one of the most compelling years of racing in history. There can only be one champion, however, and here they are now, our new Formula One World Drivers' Champion. Victory today then, but bittersweet emotions, I'm sure, as the championship slips through their fingers. Even so, what a fantastic final race of the season this was. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, they certainly stood out as a drive with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
A little bit of a glitch there, I think. The championship hasn't slipped through their fingers. They claim both championships this season. So, you know, saying that they won the race but lost the championship, I'm not sure where that came from. George Russell taking P1, Lewis Hamilton taking P2. George Russell, our new drivers' champion, and Mercedes constructors' champions for this season as we take a look at the final race standing. So we managed to get P10, one solitary point. Alonso claiming P8, so getting a few extra points for the Aston Martin team, but it's not going to make any difference as we already had claimed P5 in the constructors. So a great season, great first season for us. Now a lot of prize money coming our way, but glory goes to Mercedes and George Russell, who not only takes the win for this race, but takes the fastest lap as well, so claiming that one extra point. Not that he needed it. Max Verstappen missing out there, ending up in P4 in the race. Driver standings, George Russell finishes P1, 35 points clear of Max Verstappen, who put up a pretty valiant effort this season, and Lewis Hamilton as well, 58 points behind him. The only three drivers in the 200s. We end up finishing P6, 2 points ahead of Lando Norris. So even if we didn't get P10 today, we still would have just beaten him had the results ended up the same. But there's the big one for us. P5 in the constructors, 44 points ahead of Aston Martin. They couldn't have come back after the points that we gained in the last race. So we had it in the bag. But look at that, Mercedes, 520 points, 143 points clear of Red Bull. We haven't seen that in quite a long time. But good to see, at least in my opinion, good to see Mercedes back up there. They have been for so many years. But that brings us to the end of this race weekend and the end of this season. Season 1 done and dusted. P5 in the Constructors. I wasn't expecting this when we started the season. I thought we would definitely be battling for sort of the bottom 3 positions. I thought sort of P9 in the Constructors was going to be our goal. Maybe even P8, depending on how the points were coming in. But I thought points finishes were on the cards, but I didn't think we would ever get to the level that we have gotten, especially with getting a double win in our sprint race weekend at Brazil. That was probably the biggest highlight of the season for us, winning the sprint race and then going on to win the Grand Prix as well in our first season, our rookie season. But definitely showing that we are a force to be reckoned with in Formula One. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. Let me know in the comments what you thought. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. It would really help me out a lot. And I look forward to seeing you all in not only the next race, but the next season of my team here on F1 23. Hopefully, we can improve on our position in the Constructors and the drivers as well. Maybe even with our performance, we might even be battling for wins more consistently. Drivers' Championship, not that far outside the realms of possibility, I think, for next season. I'm not banking on being up the front, but with the season we've had, we could definitely be pushing to be one of the top teams next season. But we'll just have to wait and see. Exciting times ahead for the team. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.